All right, guys, let's go ahead and we're going to finish working through the budget notes that we started yesterday. Just to kind of refresher, those of you who are not here yesterday, rent and mortgage, remember that was 30%. Does anybody remember what I told you mine was? 22. Yep, good. You guys do listen. Imagine that. Utilities should have been about 10%. Car insurance, 5%. Cell phone, 5%. Miscellaneous spending, 10%. I think a lot of people end up being over right there. Savings, what happens to people on savings? What do you think they typically are? Yeah, they're typically under the 10%. Food, 15. Car loan, 10. And then entertainment, 5%. Okay? So for today, we're going to look through all of these things and kind of break down like what typically falls underneath those categories. Okay? So first is your rent or mortgage. Again, that's 30% of your income. So we talked about mortgages already, right? We had a whole chapter on mortgages. You guys have bought a house. You know kind of what goes into all of that. But what about rent? Like we haven't talked about renting an apartment at all. They actually cannot. You need to go back through. You should look through your lease that you sign. I guess it depends what's written in that lease. Because if the lease says that like you have that price, for like the year or whatever, they can't change it in that time. We were taking bets if you were going to show up today. All right, so let's talk about renting though, because I mean, chances are what's going to happen right after you guys graduate or graduate college and you move out of your parents' house. Are you buying a house typically right out? No, you're typically not. I lived in an apartment for a year before we bought our house, right? I lived at home when I first started teaching, until I actually knew how much money I was really going to have. Then I went ahead and got an apartment for a year, and then I ended up buying a house and got married and whatnot. But of course it was. So renting though, like some things to talk about, Max. Right out of high school, no. If I could have, yeah, it would probably be the best option. Oh gosh, what was it? It's about $375, I think, a month. Sometimes you can buy a cheap house and have a house payment that's right around what a rent would be, yeah. And I don't know about now, but back like when we bought our house, they had like first-time home buyer programs where you didn't have to have any money down. Like I didn't put any money down when we first bought our house. And I had to stay away from those. You end up paying a lot more for those. But yeah, if you can buy like a small house right like out of school, and granted, you'd have to show that you have the job history, the income in there, otherwise they won't give you a loan. But yeah, because a lot of times then, for me, when I think about renting, like I'm paying rent every month, but I get nothing back, right? When you move out of your apartment, do you get a bunch of money back? No. You might get your security deposit back or whatever, but you're not going to get a lot of money back. What happens if you move and sell your house? You get all that money, right? Like, I mean, obviously you got to take the money that you get for selling it and pay off your house, but then anything other is yours. So it's a good investment. You're getting that money back. So if you could buy a house, yeah, you should. And I have a friend who did that. Like he went ahead and bought a really small house and they lived there until he ended up getting married, and then they ended up moving into a bigger house after that. He's actually renting his house out now, so he still makes income off of it because he rents it. But yeah, otherwise to me, renting is like throwing money down the drain. But again, sometimes you're in a situation where you can't buy a house, you can't get a loan. So, I mean, it's still a good option for that. Amanda, you all right, hon? All right, so talking about rent though, move-in costs, you're gonna have to usually pay your first and last month's rent. Did you have to, do you know? Yeah. Yeah, so first and last month's rent. Depending on wherever you are, you could have a cleaning deposit, a security deposit, and a utilities deposit. I know when I rented, we did first and last month, and then we had a security deposit. So that was kind of like when we moved out, you either get it all back or none of it or part of it, depending on how trashed you leave the place. We got all of ours back because Obviously, I'm not the type that's going to trash an apartment. My mom came in when I moved out and she helped me like clean everything, so it was super clean when we left. Yeah, like it was probably cleaner than when I moved in. But that way, I made sure I got all of my deposit back. You have to pay for furnishings. You can sometimes find apartments that are furnished, but I don't know about you, but who else been sitting on that couch? And you know what I mean? I don't know about that. But furnishings for the apartment. So if you move out, are your parents gonna let you take your bed? You're gonna have a couch, kitchen table. You know what I mean? Like think about these things. Like I remember when I first moved into my apartment, when I moved out of my parents' house. I mean, I was able to take my bed and my dresser and that kind of stuff, but then I had to like find a couch and find a kitchen table, and then just the kitchen alone, like bowls and plates and like pots and pans and just all of that stuff. Tupperware. Do you need a kitchen table? Not necessarily. Yeah, but I mean, there's something about a kitchen table. I mean, I like to bake and stuff, so I mean, I didn't have a lot of counter space in the apartment, so then I would spread out on the kitchen table. But I mean, I'll be honest, I bought a lot of my stuff at garage sales. You know, my first place, whatever you can do, yeah. Or ask people, hey, you got a couch you're not using, you're gonna get rid of? Can I have that? Right. Goodwill, Facebook Marketplace, heck yeah, I can find anything on there. Also, guys, renter's insurance. Do you guys know you should have insurance when you're renting an apartment? Do you have renter's insurance? She does not. What happens if there's a fire in your apartment? You lose everything. Yeah. Now, renter's insurance, though, it's usually only 15 or 20 bucks a month. It's really not that expensive. Or, yeah, if theft, somebody breaks in and you don't have renter's insurance, you're out of luck. Max? Say that again. Maybe. I guess all of them that I'm familiar with, you would need renter's insurance to cover it. But I'm not saying that that doesn't exist out there. Oh, well, I don't know. That's insurance for you. I don't know. It depends on the company, probably. It's like if you wreck your car, you're like, yeah, my insurance paid for that. But your rates just went up. I know, it drives you crazy. I guess this is really for you, Lauren, right? Since you are renting right now. You have tenants' rights and you have responsibilities as the person that lives in an apartment. So you have the right to withhold rent if the landlord doesn't make repairs in a reasonable amount of time. That is your right to do that because it is their responsibility to take care of it. It should be safe and sanitary premises, so it should be clean and taken care of. And no changes in terms for the length of the lease. So I would be curious what your lease looked like that they raised. Do you know what I mean? Like that's something from now on when you're renting, make sure you have a copy of that lease and read through that. See, yeah, you should have been like, I need to see a copy of my lease and look at it. Well, from now on, keep a copy of that lease, okay? That way you have that to come back on. Your responsibility, though, is to make sure that you do pay your rent on time, okay? Unless there's an outstanding reason that you're not. Using the rental for the purpose stated in the lease so that you're not like renting it out to your friends and you're not actually living there. That's against the law. Taking reasonable care of the property, notifying the landlord if any major repairs are needed, giving notice of leaving at the end of the lease, so you should let them know ahead of time because they're going to want to try to rent that out again as soon as you are out of there. Giving notice of leaving before the lease is up, and then you're going to have to usually pay, like if you signed it for a year and you're leaving at 9 months, typically you'll have to pay those other 3 months. I have known landlords that if they can rent it again to someone else as soon as you're out, then they'll like let you out of it. Do you know what I mean? As long as they're getting their income, a lot of times they don't make you stick to that, as long as someone else has rented it. Paying for damage to the walls, floors, and furniture. So any damage you do to a rental, you have to pay for. Okay, you get mad and put your fist through the wall. I can see some of you in here doing that. You'll have to either fix it, hopefully you're crafty enough to do that, or you're going to have to pay to have that fixed. Nathan? Scary. You could have taken them to court for that. My guess is they didn't have any money. So yeah, you can't get, you should probably have watched who you rented it to. Oh, that's even worse. But yeah, I mean, you can't get money from somebody if they don't have any. Do you know what I mean? What else we got here? Not making alterations the landlord must fix later. So some of you who think you're crafty and maybe try to do some renovations to the apartment and you make it worse, right? Or the landlord didn't want you to do something, you can't do something that they can't fix afterwards. And then paying all the rent if your roommates move out and you stay. So if your name's on the lease and you're sharing it with roommates but their names aren't on there or anything like that and they move out, you have to pay all of it. So make sure if you're having roommates with you that they know that they're responsible for stuff, okay? Make sure you pick good roommates, not somebody who's gonna just kind of bail on you. Yeah, make sure their name's on the lease, yeah, because then they get stuck with it too. But the same way you have rights, the landlord has rights too. He can charge extra if the rent is late, and it should be specified in the lease agreement. So make sure you read those things before you just sign. Did you read yours before you signed it? Oh, so you did read it, but you don't remember what it said about your rent? I would just be curious the wording though. Like, did it say it would be $440 a month every month for the year? So it should have. Okay, the landlord, their rights are keeping part or all of the security deposit if you leave before the lease is up. So again, they get to keep that. Charging rent through the length of the lease, even if you aren't living there. So we talked about that. You have to at least pay through the end of it unless they re-rent. A lot of times they won't charge that to you. Keeping all or part of the security deposit if you damage the walls, floors, fixtures, or you make alterations that need fixed. And keeping all or part of the cleaning deposit if you leave the premises, if you don't leave it clean when you move out. So again, that's why my mom came in and helped me clean to make sure it was very clean. I ended up getting my entire security deposit back. Their responsibility for making repairs in a reasonable amount of time, keeping the premises safe and sanitary, entering the premises only at agreed upon time to make repairs, unless there's an emergency, if there's a water break or something and water is spraying into your apartment. I hope you'd be okay with them coming in and fix that. Or to show the apartment to potential renters if you're moving out. Hi, sorry, thank you. Okay, so they're allowed to come into your apartment if you let them know, hey, I'm moving out at such and such date, and they want to show the apartment to someone else, they can come in. But usually they let you know that, so hopefully that you keep things clean so it looks nicer, so they can rent it up to someone else. They collect the rent from you, and then they maintain the exterior of the building as well. Okay, moving on to utilities. So 10% of your net income. Usually when we think of utilities, we think of gas, water, and electric, right? Those are like the three that we usually think that fall in here. But you also kind of think about trash falls underneath this category. Cable or satellite, that typically falls underneath here, and your internet does as well. Okay, so when it's talking utilities, all of that is included. Now we're gonna do, bless you, an activity today where you guys are gonna figure out what the budget for someone should be, just like we did yesterday. And then I'm gonna give you cards. That's all the scenarios for that person who you just did. And you're gonna have to sort these based on, was that a utility? Was that rent? Was that miscellaneous? Like, where does it fall? Okay, so in your notes, you have a nice, beautiful list of everything, so hopefully that should help you. Okay, but I kind of put on there like the average per month for each thing, just to give you guys an idea. Now, Lauren, you might have more of an idea since you do live on your own, but other people, if you guys don't pay these things, you probably don't realize it. Right, like your electric, anywhere from $50 to $200 a month typically. 140. My electric bill in the summer is like over 200 because it's running my air conditioner all the time. In the winter it's less, but now it's going to be a little more because I have a lot of Christmas lights outside my house. So that's going to run more electric as well. We did switch to LEDs, so it should be cheaper than it has been in years past. And brighter, yes. Gas bill, $50 to $200, depending. Propane is more expensive. Like my brother lives in the country, so he has propane, and his was running in the winter over $800 a month for propane. He went one winter without heat because he couldn't afford to pay it because it got so high. He's since switched to some other heating system or whatever, but Usually 50 to 200. Mine's set at a budget. We have natural gas, and I only pay $40 a month. I just pay it all year. You can set up a budget plan so that you're not paying like nothing in the summer and like high bills in the winter. You can do a budget so it's the same all year. Mine's $40, and I have a good sized house, and it's still only $40. Water and sewer is 30 to 40 a month, just kind of depending. I know for like when I pay my water bills, it's not actually every month that you pay it. It's every 3 months you get a bill. Yours is every 6, and mine's every 3. And I don't know if that varies on county or I don't know how that varies, but oh, every month in Bloomdale? Huh. Oh. Oh, yeah. You guys are part of that one. I remember that whole switch that happened down there. But yeah, so depending on where you live, mine's every 3, every 6, hers is every month, so that can vary. Trash, usually 12 to 25 a month. Like where I live, I'm in Monclova Township. It's Waterville, but it's Monclova Township. So for me, my trash is included in my taxes. So like, I don't pay for trash. I pay for recycling, but not for trash, which seems really dumb. Yeah. Yes. When I lived in Findlay, we had to buy these orange trash bags, which only I could find them at Kroger, and half the time they were out of them. But they wouldn't pick up your trash unless it was in that specific trash bag, which was really obnoxious. Right? That's what we used to do too. I mean, we would like compact those things. My husband would like standing on them, squishing it down, getting as much as he could in there. You'd pick up the bag and be so heavy, about like fall out the bottom. But I'm like, it was in that bag. It was in there. It's not my fault it broke out. Cable and satellite, 70 to 150 a month. Again, remember we talked, that's one that you can call and argue your price. A lot of times you can get them lower. And your internet, 30 to 50 roughly. But again, I think, how many of you don't even have like cable or satellite anymore? Any of you gone away from it? Quite a few of you. So like, what do you guys, just Netflix, internet, Hulu, Netflix? The antenna, yeah. I usually get great signal from an antenna, like HD signal. It's amazing. Like we did at our house. When we lost channel 11 went out, WTOL. Like that went out for a while with DirecTV. So like half the shows I watch are on that channel. So like we got the rabbit ears and whatnot. We were pulling high def signal out of it. No. Mine doesn't even go outside. It literally hooks to my TV and sits in my house. And it was pulling incredible. Where do you live? You're kind of out in the boonies. That might be why you're not getting as much. I'm closer to Toledo, being in Waterville. All right, car insurance. Typically averages 120 and 130 a month. Nathan just had to talk about this yesterday. He gets a discount for good grades. Right? This Nathan. Him and I talked about insurance yesterday. You get a discount on your car insurance if you have good grades. Did you not know that? John, you have good grades. You need to make sure your insurance sees a copy of your report card because you can get a discount on your auto insurance. Yeah. Well, they just assume if you're a good enough student to get good grades that you're a more responsible person, then you're a more responsible driver. It's kind of their, I guess, thought process. I'm sure there's probably data to support that, though. But your rates are determined by many factors. Your driving record, so if you have a lot of speeding tickets, it's going to be higher. If you have a lot of accidents, it's going to be higher. Your type of car. Do you guys know that, the type of car you drive?
Red, your car
Yes, red cars definitely get charged more.
I don't know, but
I don't.
I think.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But let me tell you, if
Yeah.
you have a red car, cops are more likely to pull you over. And my truck is red, car is red.
Yeah.
Got my license suspended once, but that's not the spot.
Uh-huh. Yep. But maybe. But to me that's interesting because
And if there's a stripe on it, it's
but to me that doesn't make sense because to me like if it's a red car, you can see it easier. So like you should be safer, right? Because people aren't gonna like pull out in front of you because they can see you. You guys ever like seriously go to pull out and like you didn't even see like the white or silver car because it's like blended into like the surroundings? It drives me crazy. Haley? Mm-hmm. Because it's red. Yep. I know it's dumb. Yeah. She hit one? Nice. Nathan, did you have something to say? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. What? Yeah, the newer cars are. Because most of them, they come standard with that now. But yeah, guys, generally, what I was doing the research on this, kind of looking to see like what it is. Generally, the harder your car is to steal, the less expensive it is to repair, the lower the rate. So if you're driving something that's hard to get parts for, it's going to cost more for insurance, because if you wreck it and they got to pay to fix it, and you have a car that's hard to find parts for, it's going to cost more. So if you drive a Honda Civic, it's going to be cheaper, because Honda Civics are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, so it's going to be cheaper. But if you're driving, I don't know, some kind of foreign car, it's going to cost more. Yeah, depending on what year it is as well. Yeah. And where you live also plays into that. If you live in downtown Toledo, do you think your rate's going to be higher than somebody that lives in a nice area? If you live in Perrysburg? You know what I mean? It's very different. Yep. Yep. I know, it seems backwards, right? I know. All right, cell phone. We talked about this yesterday. You can definitely call and get your rates lowered for cell phones. You can call and argue with them. Average is about $80 per month. Some of you, anybody higher than $80 a month? Yeah? Some of you are? Yeah, okay. I would suggest, if you're not already doing so, get a family plan. You can have, gosh, was it like up to 10 people on a family plan where you split all of that? And you share your data, but I mean, depending on how much data you want, it's usually plenty. Like we share there's 6 of us on our plan. Like it's me and my husband, my dad, my brother, his wife, her stepdad. Like it's pretty extended as far as a family plan, but that's totally fine. You save a lot of money. Yeah, but it definitely saves. Like now, for my husband and I both, we pay, like I just paid, it was $78 for the 2 of us. So definitely a lot cheaper. But yeah, change plans. Check periodically for a new plan. Keep your phone longer. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I had called Verizon before, and I got a $30 credit, or $30 a month, or $15 a month. I forget exactly what it was, because I technically was up for I could get a new phone, right? Like I wasn't on a device payment plan. So they would give me a discount because I was keeping my old phone. So call and ask about those things. Now, had I known that, I would have called sooner, because I've been on the same phone for quite a few years now. But I'm like, it still works. I'm not going to get a new one. So check that. But if you don't ask them about that discount, they won't just automatically give it to you, because they want money. But yeah, use family plans, reduce your data usage, make sure you're not going over. If you go over, you have huge fees for that. If you know you're going to go over for the month, call. Usually you can add an extra gig of data or something for a lot cheaper than paying the overage rate. I've done that before as well. I'm like, oh crap, you get that warning on your phone, you're at 10% data left for the month, and you got 3 weeks to go in the month. Call, be like, hey, I want to add an extra gig of data to my plan for this month. It's going to be cheaper than paying the overage. Employee discounts. I know as a teacher, I get 20% off my bill every month, just for being a teacher. So depending on what your job is, make sure you ask that. Skip the insurance. How many of you pay insurance for your phone? Do any of you pay the insurance? Brian, get off your phone. Just because we're talking about phones doesn't mean you're on your phone. But yeah, don't pay the insurance. It's a waste of money. You're on your calculator. And then don't be afraid to switch carriers. Because let's be honest, Verizon's usually the most expensive. It is the best coverage, though. All right, miscellaneous. This is where people are like, I don't really know what goes into this category. It's usually anything that doesn't fit in another one. Okay? Clothing, gifts, decorations, household items, toiletries, diapers, baby supplies, dry cleaning, magazine subscriptions, gas for your car, credit card payment, and life insurance. So just because they're necessities doesn't mean it just still fits in the miscellaneous category. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily fit into, you know, food budget, or it doesn't fit into utilities. You just doesn't know where else to go. It goes here. Okay. Savings, you're shooting for 10% of your net income. If your expenses are too high and you can't afford to save that much, then you need to try to cut back in some other area. I'm sure there's somewhere in your budget that you're like, all right, I didn't need to go out to dinner 5 times last week, right? You can save money by cooking at home. Consider the money you save a regular expense. We talked about this. I know some of you have actual savings plans, which I think is amazing. Definitely do that and set a goal for your savings. You know, are you saving up for a car payment? Are you saving up for vacation or whatever it might be? Okay, but make it part of your, like, every month. Those of you who already have a savings like set up, like one job's income goes right into savings. Abby automatically, $100 every time, goes right into her savings account. I think it's great stuff. All right, food. So young adults' weekly average is about $173 a week, you know, depending on how you cook. Those with incomes of $75,000 a year or more average $180 a week. Incomes of $30,000 to $74,000, $144 a week. And less than $30,000 spend on average $127 a week. Well, that was interesting. But I mean, really, look at the difference in those salaries. Did it really change how much I spend on groceries by much? If you earn less than $30,000 versus, this is more than double. Look at the difference, 180 to 127. Is it more than double? It's not. Like, everyone's got to eat, you guys. That's a big part of your budget. And you can save money on food by cooking your own food at home instead of eating out all the time. Some of you think, yeah, McDonald's is the way to go. They got a dollar menu, right? Yeah, you can save a lot of money by cooking at home. I know it's a pain in the butt sometimes, but you really can save a lot of money. And we're going to do a whole thing on groceries and stuff tomorrow. All right, car loan. Usually about 10%. Well, some of you we know are way over that for the cars you picked in your projects. But to save money, save up, pay cash. That way you're not paying interest on things. If you buy used, it can be cheaper. Because what happens as soon as you buy a brand new car and drive it off the lot? Yeah, it loses value like immediately. And then shop around for the best rate for a loan. Just because one bank says they'll give you 5% doesn't mean another bank won't give you 4%. And 1% can make a huge difference over the cost length of like a 5-year loan. Okay. There are options though, depending if you're careful and when you buy, that they do have 0% interest for like 60 months, 72 months, where you could buy something that usually is new, but you maybe not pay interest on it. Okay, so depending on what kind of car you want. And then entertainment. This is like your wants. Okay, so shopping, movies, plays, concerts, sporting events, hiking, biking, skiing, all that kind of stuff would fit underneath entertainment. I also would put here going out to dinner, like on a date, right? Like you and your significant other going out on a date and you go out to dinner. To me, that's not food budget as much as it's entertainment budget. Whereas if your job, you go out to lunch every day at work, where would you put that one? I'd probably put that one under food because it's like a regular occurrence. But if it's like you're going out on a date, you're going out to a nice restaurant, to me that fits under entertainment. What about like a gym membership? Where would that go? I would put gym membership under entertainment. Is it a want? Do you have to go to an actual gym to get exercise? Do you know what I mean? Like for me, I would put gym memberships under entertainment. Everybody got that? You may want to jot that down. I see some of you taking notes. Thank you.